The sun rose over the Kruger Wildlife Reserve in South Africa. Morning light shone down on the medical facility where Camilla, a black mixed-breed dog with a small white spot on her chest, curled up in the corner of her cage. 3 days before, she had gone through a hard labor, giving birth to 5 early puppies, but all of them died during the difficult delivery. After giving birth, Camilla's milk glands started making milk, a complex body process caused by prolactin, the hormone that makes milk in most mammals. But now, with no babies to feed, her body kept making milk in a useless attempt to follow nature's orders. Camilla's dark brown eyes looked at nothing, showing signs of sadness after birth, something that happens not just in humans, but has been seen in many mammals, especially those that form close bonds with their babies, like dogs. Animal experts say that when dogs lose their babies, they show grief by pulling away from others, refusing to eat, and not responding to things around them. This is exactly what Camilla was going through. Camilla used to be a hunting dog for a local farm family. When she got pregnant, instead of getting special care, she was left on the roadside, which is common in many rural African areas, where pets are often seen as work tools rather than family members. Patrol officers found her exhausted with low blood sugar and lacking water, dangerous conditions for a pregnant animal. Howard Mitchell, the 50-year-old medical head of the reserve, watched Camilla through the window. With 20 years of wildlife research and work, he knew that Camilla's deep sadness wasn't just humans putting feelings onto animals, but a real response from the limbic system, the part of the brain that handles basic emotions in most mammals. That same day, an urgent call from the Eastern Patrol Team said they had found an abandoned leopard cub, Panthera pardus. Clues at the scene, bullet shells and blood marks, showed that his mother had been killed by poachers. Even though hunting wild animals is illegal in South Africa, poaching still happens, especially targeting leopards, because their fur and body parts sell for high prices on illegal markets. The leopard cub was named Atlas, thought to be about 2 weeks old based on his body size, eye development, and new baby teeth coming in. When brought to the center, tests showed Atlas had dangerously low body temperature, only 36.1 degrees Celsius, compared to the normal 38.5 degrees Celsius for leopard cubs. He was severely dehydrated, had reduced skin flexibility, a sign of dehydration, and had an infection from a wound on his back leg with high white blood cell counts in his blood. Howard and the medical team took several emergency steps. They gave him Ringer's lactate solution to fix dehydration and chemical imbalances, injected broad-spectrum antibiotics to fight infection, and put Atlas in a temperature-controlled space to slowly raise his body heat. They fed him special formula made for big cats, adjusted with more protein and especially rich in taurine, an important amino acid for big cat growth. However, formula milk, despite careful preparation, still lacked many important parts found in natural mother's milk, particularly antibodies and immune factors that can't be made artificially. "I'm not sure he'll make it through the night," Hannah, Howard's assistant, sighed. Not just because of the physical injuries, but because leopard cubs need bonding with their mother to grow properly. Without this connection, they can have long-term stress responses that affect their immune system and ability to recover. That night, Howard stayed awake next to Atlas's cage. He watched the small movements of the leopard cub's body, each gentle rise and fall of his belly while breathing, the occasional flutter of eyelids during sleep, signs of REM dreams. He knew that even while sleeping, Atlas's brain was still processing experiences and perhaps looking for images of his mother, an essential bond that had been cut too early. When the first rays of sunlight came through the window, Howard noticed Atlas was still alive, still breathing. A bold idea came to his mind. An idea based on understanding the biological processes of maternal instinct and the bonding between mother and offspring in mammals. Camila is still making milk, Howard told Hannah. Not only that, oxytocin, the love hormone, is still actively working in her body after giving birth, encouraging nurturing behavior. And Atlas needs not just nutrition, but also the emotional bonding that only a mother can provide. Hannah looked at him doubtfully. Howard, are you thinking of putting a dog with a leopard? They're two completely different species with totally different instinctual behaviors and body language. True, but maternal instinct goes beyond many barriers, Howard explained. There are basic biological processes that control nurturing behavior in most mammal species. The cries of young ones, their small size, and even the ratio between head size and body size can trigger caregiving responses. Konrad Lorenz's research on baby schema, or Kindchenschema, proved this. Childlike features such as big heads, large eyes, and short limbs trigger protective responses in many species. But what if Camila reacts with hunting instinct? Leopards are natural prey for many wild dog species. That's a risk, Howard admitted. But Camila isn't a pure wild dog. She's been tamed. And more importantly, she's in a special afterbirth body state. Prolactin and oxytocin hormones are controlling her nervous system, reducing aggressive responses, and encouraging protective behavior. We'll watch carefully, ready to step in if needed. After much thought, Hannah agreed. They prepared a special room, temperature controlled at 27 degrees Celsius, 60% humidity, low light levels to reduce stress, and floors covered with soft materials to create a sense of safety for both creatures. Heat-sensing cameras were installed to monitor interactions without needing bright lights that might disturb them. Howard carefully carried Atlas in a soft blanket. The leopard cub lay still, too weak to react. Hannah led Camila into the specially prepared room. The mixed-breed dog walked slowly, head hanging low, her empty look reflecting the pain of losing her babies. Let them find each other naturally, Howard said, as they placed Atlas about 2 meters away from Camila. At first, Camila seemed unaware of the new presence. She just lay still, head resting on her front paws. Atlas lay curled up on the cushion, each breath an effort. 10 minutes passed in silence. Then suddenly, Atlas let out a weak cry, the sound of a child looking for his mother. Camila's ears twitched slightly. For the first time since losing her babies, she had reacted to something. Atlas cried again, weaker this time. Now Camila raised her head, her dark brown eyes focusing toward the sound. Slowly, Camila stood up and moved toward Atlas. As she got closer, Camila lowered her head, her nose gently sniffing the small, shaking creature. Time seemed to stop in that moment. Two lonely beings facing each other. One who had lost her children, one who had lost his mother. Then, with a gentle movement, Camila began licking Atlas. Light, careful licks, the way a mother cares for her child. Atlas responded to this contact, his small body relaxing, eyes slowly closing in the first sense of safety since being rescued. "This is incredible," Hannah whispered, tears forming. Howard decided to try nursing. With careful help, they placed Atlas near Camila's belly. At first, both were awkward, but then Atlas found a nipple and began nursing. Weakly at first, but gradually stronger. Camila lay still, eyes wide open, filled with an emotion hard to describe, a mix of surprise, protective instinct, and new hope. Her body curved into an arc around Atlas, as if wanting to protect this newly found child. After nursing, Atlas slept soundly, the first truly peaceful sleep since losing his mother. Camila remained awake, eyes never leaving the small creature beside her. When dawn came, both had changed. Atlas not only survived, but showed clear signs of improvement. Camila, who had previously refused all food, now eagerly welcomed breakfast, as if understanding that she needed strength to care for Atlas. In the following days, an amazing transformation happened. Atlas gained weight rapidly. His wounds healed better than expected. Camila became a devoted mother, not only nursing Atlas but also teaching him basic skills. Their relationship developed so deeply that Howard decided not to separate them. The sight of Camila and Atlas sleeping, curled up together, became an image that touched the hearts of everyone at the center. After 3 weeks, Atlas was healthy enough to be moved to a larger space. Howard decided to move both together, creating a special area natural enough for Atlas to develop, but safe enough for Camila to stay with him. Here, their story would enter a new chapter. 6 months had passed, and the transformation in the semi-natural area of Kruger Reserve had become a source of wonder for both scientists and visitors. Atlas, the small leopard cub who had once been on the edge of death, had now grown into a lively young leopard. His golden coat with black spots now shone under the African sunday. The wound on his back leg had healed completely, leaving only a faint scar as a reminder of the past. Camila, the black mixed-breed dog with the white patch on her chest, now had to look up at her adopted child. Atlas had grown taller than her, the long, muscular frame of a growing leopard becoming more obvious. But in Camila's eyes, Atlas was still the child who needed her guidance and protection. Each morning, when the sun barely appeared over the grasslands, Camila and Atlas would begin their familiar routine. They would walk together around the area, Atlas occasionally running ahead, jumping onto rocks for a better view, while Camila walked slowly behind, her alert eyes watching every movement around them. Sometimes Atlas would disappear into the bushes, then suddenly leap out, trying to surprise Camila, a game the young leopard never seemed to get tired of. Howard and the research team spent hours watching this unusual pair. They recorded how Camila taught Atlas survival skills, not in the way of a leopard, but according to a dog's instincts. She taught Atlas how to track by smell, how to listen to distant sounds, and how to hide when sensing danger. Remarkably, Atlas seemed to understand and adapt these lessons, combining them with his natural leopard instincts. In turn, Atlas also taught Camila new things. The young leopard would climb trees that Camila couldn't reach, sitting there for hours, watching the world from above. Camila would patiently sit at the base of the tree, waiting for her adopted child to come down. Sometimes, when night fell, they would sit together on a large rock, resting under the moonlight, creating an unreal scene that researchers never tired of witnessing. One morning, as Howard watched the pair through binoculars, he realized it was time to face a difficult decision. Atlas was nearly 8 months old, the age when in the wild, a young leopard would begin separating from his mother and exploring his own territory. Although the bond between Atlas and Camila remained strong, wildlife experts worried that if Atlas wasn't encouraged to develop his natural instincts, he would never be able to fully adapt to the role of an adult leopard. "We need to make a decision about Atlas's future," Howard said in the team meeting. "He needs to learn to hunt, to defend territory, and eventually to find a mate. These are things Camila cannot teach." The team discussed various solutions. Some suggested completely separating Atlas from Camila and placing him in a wildlife reintegration program. Others proposed a more gradual approach, allowing Atlas to interact with other leopards in the reserve while maintaining contact with Camila. While the discussion continued, an unexpected incident occurred. An incident that ultimately helped them make the right decision. That day, the care team brought a special meal, fresh beef, for both Camila and Atlas. Usually, they divided the food into 2 separate portions, but today, due to an oversight, they only placed 1 large portion of meat in the area. When the smell of fresh meat spread, both Camila and Atlas reacted strongly. Both were hungry after a long morning of play, and natural instinct drove them toward the food source. Atlas, with his wild leopard instincts gradually awakening, suddenly let out a small growl, the first sound truly resembling an adult leopard. The young leopard moved toward the meat with speed and determination he had never shown before. Camila also approached, hoping to share the meal as usual. But this time, something had changed. Atlas, now a young leopard with awakening hunting instincts, suddenly growled and pushed Camila away, claiming the entire piece of meat. This action was not only surprising, but somewhat aggressive, a side of Atlas no one had seen before. Howard and the staff watched, not daring to interfere in this crucial moment. This was a natural part of development. Atlas was showing his true leopard instincts, placing individual needs above relationships. Camila, pushed away, looked at Atlas with confused eyes. For a moment, it seemed she didn't recognize her adopted child. She stepped back, but didn't give up. With the patience and wisdom of an experienced mother, she moved around Atlas, trying to find a way to approach the meat without angering the young leopard. Atlas, driven by basic instinct, continued growling and protecting his prey. He ate hungrily, tearing at the meat with the increasing strength of young leopard jaws. His eyes never left Camila, alert and even somewhat threatening. This scene worried Howard and the research team. Was this a sign that the relationship between Camila and Atlas was beginning to break? Would wild instinct ultimately win over the love that had been nurtured for months? Atlas quickly finished the large portion of meat, leaving only a few small pieces scattered around. Camila, seemingly disappointed, slowly walked away and curled up in a corner, her sad eyes watching the adopted child who no longer recognized her. Tension filled the air. But then a miracle happened. Atlas, having eaten his fill, suddenly stopped and looked toward Camila. There was something in the young leopard's eyes, an awareness, perhaps regret. The watchers began filming, sensing that something special was about to happen. Atlas slowly approached Camila, eyes never leaving his adoptive mother. His steps were no longer aggressive, but became careful, almost shy. When he got close, Atlas did something amazing. He gently touched Camila's paw with his front paw, then lowered his head to touch it lightly, like an apologetic gesture. Camila remained silent, not yet ready to forgive. Her eyes looked at Atlas with disappointment that only a mother could express. But Atlas didn't give up. He tried again, using his nose to gently touch Camila, seeking a sign of forgiveness. Watching this situation, a visitor suggested an interesting idea. They wanted to see Atlas's reaction if more food was provided. Howard agreed, and a new, smaller portion of meat was brought into the area. This time, something amazing happened. When the meat was introduced, Atlas didn't move at all. He remained standing next to Camila, as if holding back his instincts. The young leopard seemed to be waiting, watching Camila's reaction. Camila slowly stood up, looking at Atlas carefully, then moved toward the meat. Atlas still didn't move, allowing Camila to approach the food first. Silence covered the watching crowd, some even wiping away tears at this touching moment. But something even more moving was about to happen. Camila picked up a large piece of meat, and instead of eating it, she carried the meat to Atlas, gently placing it in front of the leopard. It was a gesture of forgiveness, a confirmation of a mother's unconditional love. Atlas accepted the meat, not with eagerness, but with appreciation. Then, something unthinkable happened. The young leopard pushed the meat back toward Camila, inviting her to eat first. Both shared the meal in peace, occasionally looking at each other with deeper connection than ever before. After that incident, Howard made the final decision about Atlas and Camila's future. He realized that although Atlas was gradually becoming a true leopard with wild instincts, The bond between him and Camila was too special to be completely broken. "We will continue to keep them at the reserve," Howard announced to his team, "but we will expand their area, creating a mixed environment natural enough for Atlas to develop leopard skills, but safe enough for Camila to stay with him. At the same time, we will begin giving Atlas controlled exposure to other leopards so he can learn from his own kind." And so, a special area was designed for this unlikely pair. With more spacious surroundings, Atlas could practice climbing and hunting, while Camila could still stay nearby. Over time, Atlas became better at hunting, even catching rabbits and small rodents. But remarkably, whenever he caught prey, Atlas always brought it back to share with Camila before eating himself, a behavior rarely seen even in wild leopards. When Atlas turned 1 year old, an important moment arrived. The research team brought another young female leopard to a nearby area, a leopard rescued from poaching and fully recovered. Initially, Atlas showed wariness and even indifference, but gradually natural instinct began to awaken. Atlas started spending time near the fence, watching the female leopard with increasing curiosity. Camila witnessed these changes with wise acceptance. She didn't try to keep Atlas by her side, but instead seemed to understand that her adopted child was growing up and needed to explore his own world. Sometimes, when Atlas was absorbed in watching the female leopard, Camila would quietly turn away, giving Atlas private space. Finally, the researchers decided to open the gate between the two areas, allowing Atlas and the female leopard to meet. The first meeting was tense. No one knew if the female leopard would accept Atlas, a leopard who had grown up with the scent and some behaviors of dogs. But once again, Atlas surprised everyone. He approached the female leopard with confidence and composure, displaying proper leopard communication behaviors that seemingly no one had taught him. The two leopards gradually accepted each other, even beginning to play chase and share resting spaces. Camila observed everything from a safe distance, not interfering, but always ready if Atlas needed her. Sometimes, at the end of the day, Atlas would still return to Camila, curling up beside his adoptive mother, like in his infancy, seeking familiar comfort and love. The story of Camila and Atlas quickly spread worldwide. Media flocked to Kruger Reserve to document this unusual pair. Videos and images of them flooded social media, touching the hearts of millions. People were moved by the story of love crossing species boundaries, the healing power of bonding, and the strength of compassion. One afternoon, as sunset painted the African grasslands, Howard sat on a high rock, watching the scene before him. Atlas and the female leopard were sunbathing on a large tree branch, while Camila rested in the shade below, her eyes occasionally glancing up at her adopted child. A family that followed no rules, but still a family. "Sometimes," Howard said to Hannah, sitting beside him, "we think we understand nature, understand animals. We set boundaries, rules, expectations. But then Camila and Atlas come along and overturn everything we thought we knew." Hannah nodded, eyes never leaving the scene before them. "Love knows no boundaries," she said softly. "That's the greatest lesson they've taught us." As night fell, Atlas jumped down from the tree and walked toward Camila. The young leopard, now nearly the size of an adult leopard, gently laid down beside his adoptive mother. Camila licked Atlas's head as she had when he was small, and Atlas responded with the soft purr of contentment. This wasn't the end of their story. This was just a new chapter in the miraculous journey of two beings who had found each other in their darkest moment and had risen together, stronger, more loving, and becoming living proof of what many had forgotten: that in the world of nature, as in the human world, love has the power to transcend all boundaries, heal all wounds, and create miracles that no one could imagine. Did you enjoy this story? What would you do? Would you put a sad dog with a dying leopard baby? Let us know in the comments below. If you liked the story, subscribe to this channel and leave a like. Thanks so much for listening. See you in the next video. Have a great day.